Barrett Brooks, Barrett's breakdown here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Barrett, a lot to break down in yesterday's game, and I'll start right off the top with asking you, of all of the errors yesterday, what stands out the most?
I think the fact that they didn't take care of the opportunities they were given to them. They had two opportunities to kick field goals. They had an opportunity to, on a punt return. Those are all things that, they just didn't, take those opportunities to win the game. They didn't grasp those opportunities. This team is not good enough that they can keep coming back from a deficit, spotting teams 14 points. So I just think really that they just don't take care of the ball well.
Your thoughts on Doug's aggressiveness yesterday and what role that played?
I like Bill's aggressiveness. I understand, where he's coming from. He has a lot of confidence in his players, but at that point, you have to be more sound in the play calling that you use. I don't think that the play that they did run with Carson holding the ball, it just didn't make sense to me. Then also the fact that you got 4th and 1. And you don't have your power back and Ryan Matthews in there. You need Ryan Matthews in there to go downhill. Instead, you have your smallest back out there running an inside zone play. Kelsey's not playing well at this point either. So it was just, it just wasn't a good call. Wasn't a good play call. Wasn't a good personnel package on both events.
Barrett, Carson Wentz struggling yesterday. Is this the Carson Wentz that we should have been expecting, or is there something changed since the 3-0 start that's causing him to play this way?
I think our enthusiasm needs to get a little more tempered and understanding that this Eagles team is the same Eagles team that we had with Sam Bradford. We don't have Sam Bradford. I mean, this is exactly the same team that the expectations were very level-headed, when we went into this season. We had too much success early, so we're trying to, judge them with the same parameter of the players that we have right now, even though they went 3-0 to begin the season.
Hey, play calling yesterday, it seems that first down, they're always in second and long. Second down, I feel like they run the ball right up the middle on second and long every single time. Is he too predictable? We used to say there was Andy a lot too.
Well, a lot of people are saying it's Andy 2.0, but I think it's the difference being I don't think that he has the receivers right now to really pass as much as Andy did, and Andy didn't have the receivers either. But I'm saying this, if he had better receivers, I think that Doug would pass it every down as opposed to him just passing a couple of downs now. Although he said in the press conference that he doesn't run the ball enough, I still don't see him coming out and passing the ball. Anytime you scripted 10 plays in your first 15 play sheets, as you begin the game, it just shows the mentality that Doug has. He does not have the receivers to go out there and pass it that many times a game. And plus, you're putting your rookie quarterback in a bad position because now he is the position of strength on the team at this point. He's just too young at this point to even think that he can go about being that guy and carrying his team like they're trying to ask him to.
Barrett Brooks with us, breaking down the Eagles and Giants game. And Barrett, you touched on this a second ago, but I want to get into it a little bit more. Trouble from the start. At the Lions, down 14-0, they lose by a point. At the Redskins, down 14-0, they lose by 7. At the Cowboys, down 10-3, they lose by 6 in overtime. And at the Giants, down 14-0, they end up losing by 5. Why the poor starts time and time again from this Eagles football team?
It's becoming a pattern now. It's really becoming a pattern. They just put themselves in the hole to start games out, and they're just not good enough to get out of these holes. And what really, gets under my skin is the fact that if you look at them, they're just right on the cusp of winning. I'd rather them just get blown out, for instance, than to be right there winning and having the last possession going into the end of the game. I mean, come on now. You're right there at the cusp of scoring. You're right there on the cusp of being up in the game, and then you squander it away doing stupid stuff. Like, the pattern with Matthews, those two not being on the same page on that pass play. It's all about body mechanics, proper mechanics coming out of the break, understanding where the ball is going to be. And then, Carson has to throw a better ball. Things just aren't lining up as they did in the first 3 games, but they're still in the game, even though they put themselves behind the 8 ball to start the game off. If you take that first quarter away of the 3 losses, or the 4 losses, take the first quarter away and take the last 5 minutes away, and this team would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, guess what? Those are all a factor here. Barrett Brooks, Barrett's Breakdown, Comcast Sportsnet post-game live for all Eagles game, and, of course, Breakfast on Broad on the Comcast Network weekday mornings from 7 to 9. You know, those are all parts of the game, and, hey, each week it seems that something is rearing their head in. You know, it's the 2 picks early. There's a fumble on the Detroit game. You've got, the secondary had some breakdowns. Where was the pass rush yesterday? I mean, it just seems that there's not one major problem. It's a multitude of problems, and I guess that all adds up to this team just not being, they're not ready. They're not a good team. It's just it's an average team that some weeks is going to be good and other weeks are going to be bad, and most weeks are going to be what they are, average.
Well, they take their turn. They take their turn of being bad. And, I said last week, you take 11 players and you have 11 plays. And if each one of those players makes a mistake on one play, not, twice, but one play each, then you just have an unsuccessful team, an unsuccessful drive. And that's exactly what's happened. Each team's concept is not going out and doing what it's supposed to do. And that's what happens. When the special team is playing good, the defense is playing good, and the offense doesn't play good. Then the defense doesn't play good, the offense is playing good. Then this last game, the special teams, had their breakdown in the game. There's just certain things, certain aspects of the team just break down in unopportune times, and they just don't have the ability to fight back from those deficits.
Ability to fight back as we visit with Barrett Brooks. Now, you didn't say this, Seth said this, but when he said you can't win while you're being defeated from within, what was your reaction to that comment?
Well, it's totally true. If you look at it, it's always one thing that, that's the constant, and that's the coach, the head coach. Anytime, you can be aggressive sometimes, but you have to be very mindful that if they don't do it, you kind of, take the hope of the team out. Just what, if you look what Malcolm Jenkins said. Malcolm Jenkins said, sometimes it's good to be ugly and methodical on how you approach the game. Yes, being boring or when you came, as opposed to trying to be dynamic and do, crazy stuff like running Carson Wentz on a 4th down play. You just can't do that. Just be methodical. Go out there and go about your business. That's what I did with the Steelers. We won a superstar. We won a championship. We didn't really have superstars per se. We just grinded it out, very methodical in how we approached the game, went out there to play by play, and that's how we won most of our games. It wasn't anything big. Big Ben didn't go out there and throw for 300 yards. He probably averaged about 180 to 200 yards a game. Very, very ugly football. The NFL really doesn't like it, but it wins, it pays dividends and results in the win column.
Barrett Brooks, Eagles post game live. It'll be Eagles-Falcons next week. And, of course, tomorrow morning, check them out on Breakfast on Broad, 7 o'clock on the Comcast Network. Barrett, we know you got to run a little early today. We appreciate it as always, pal.
Take care, BB.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.